This little girl sitting amongst the tall grass.
She loves it. Broccoli, kale, and more chard.
Hello everyone, it's Amanda and my hubby Bill here, and we are going to give you our first garden tour of the year since we're getting everything started and pruned and it's spring. Oh, we have our little assistant here.
Hi.
And a second little assistant over there. It's going to help us give our little garden tour here. So first of all, we have raspberries.
These all came with the house. I sort of removed the nettles and the blackberries from amongst them.
They were all growing into, like the blackberries were like growing over the top of them and taking over. And Bill has saved them.
I'm gradually weeding them and mulching them. Gotten rid of most of the nettle. I'm still working on the morning glory, the buttercup and the grass. I'm kind of trying to mulch over it, but it's going to take a while to get all that out.
Although we've learned that nettle is edible and actually a superfood.
Yeah, so here's our nettle crop. Here's our nettle crop. Plenty of superfood.
So yeah, we discovered that you can eat it and you just boil it for like a few minutes and it gets rid of the sting, hence the stinging nettle, and it's actually really good for you. And my cousin was actually suggesting making pesto with it, and that's the best tasting way to do it. I guess it doesn't taste as good in tea, although it's another way you can do it, but maybe we'll try eating nettle this year. It's natural and it's growing everywhere. Anyway, no matter what.
So this is rhubarb that was basically overwhelmed and dying when we found it, but we
rehabilitated it.
We basically just weeded around it and now it seems happy. So we'll be trying some raspberry rhubarb something or another. All of the raspberries that came with the house are June bearing. I wanted some ever bearing, so I planted a row of them right here.
Right, so they put fruit out twice a year.
Rather than once.
And
so once these grow up, I'll just move the line of the stakes to include them as well.
Look at this little girl sitting amongst the tall grass.
She loves it.
What do you eat? Hey, what do you eat? What do you eat? And here are our 3 raised beds. You probably recognize these from last year if you've been watching our garden tours for a while. So Bill is planting the first one here.
So this one has onions, which I planted almost a month ago because they need to go in early. The row right next to the edge there was Walla Walla sweets that I got as starts, and they're all very consistent. They all survived and they seem to be doing okay. The second row was some red and yellow onions that I got as sets, and some of them are doing really well and some of them aren't coming up at all. It's kind of inconsistent. Hopefully the ones that haven't come up yet will still come up, but been in for a while. Then this area here is mixed rows of carrots and radishes. The plan is to pick the radishes before the carrots get so big that they need all this space. This bed is ready to plant. We're going to plant peas next to this.
So they can grow up that little trellis there.
Or super sugar snap. And we're going to plant potatoes on either side. This bed has not been rehabilitated yet. This is what it looks like.
This is what we did to it over the winter.
Yeah, it's been mulched with dead grass, which helped some, but the crabgrass can still get under the edges of the bed and grow, so I'll just have to dig it out. But
it helps, and it's not as bad as it would be otherwise.
It's not as bad as it would be otherwise. So this bed's going to have beans on it and potatoes on either side again.
All right, and here's our compost situation here. We compost all of our plant-based food scraps because we don't want to put like eggshells and stuff in there just because we don't want to attract animals.
So we're using these for the initial fresh compost, and you can kind of spin them, get it rotted. I need to build proper bins for the more rotten compost, but we've got some older compost here, some that's good soil for planting in here, some dug up grass that needs to rot here, some more rotten grass that I pulled off the top of the beds here, and eventually we'll build some nice compost bins.
Just as a side note on being thrifty, there's our little man. We got these actually as a hand-me-down from my aunt and uncle who were downsizing and moving away from their bigger house, and so they asked us if we wanted these rotating composters, and we're like, yes, please, because normally those things are really expensive, but it has really helped our composting adventure. Makes it a lot more effective that way.
This is where I'm just storing all the pots temporarily that are going to go around the patio.
If you remember our quote-unquote pot garden from last year,
and
we'll be doing those again.
Underneath is a new bed that is full of the remains of a previous compost pile, and we're going to be putting squash in here.
All right, up on our patio we have our annual blueberry plants. And this one last year put out so many blueberries. I mean, we had blueberries for like 2 months. Yep. And there was a ton of them. We can probably freeze some this year.
And we really need to weed these garden beds, but one thing at a time. That one came from Costco last year. That one actually came with the house, and this is the first year it's big enough to produce much. And this one came from Costco. This little mini lilac came with the house, and this one came from Costco.
Those are all of our blueberries. We're gonna have so many.
Yeah.
We might have to make blueberry jam this year.
This is our herbs. The basil from last year is quite dead, but everything else has survived.
So you don't have to replant all that. It'll be nice.
Rosemary, oregano, and mint. And I've got some sage, some tarragon, some basil, and some fennel there, which I'm planning to plant.
I'm gonna plant those.
So this is our shade garden, and this is where I plant things that will bolt if they're in too much direct sun. It means they grow slower in the spring, but by the time summer rolls around, it's actually nice to have it. We've got some lettuce here. We've got some spinach that was a holdover from the fall crop that I planted last fall. It's actually quite happy now. We've got some chard that was a holdover that needs to be chopped down and probably something new planted there. We've got some kale, broccoli, kale, and more chard.
Awesome.
All of this stuff is almost ready to eat.
Yeah,
already.
So you're saying that starting after this last grocery run we did, we aren't probably going to have to buy greens again until the end of next fall, which is awesome.
Yep.
And it tastes amazing.
It got rehabilitated a little bit, and I probably need to trim it down a little bit, but
our roses,
they're coming out.
They smell really nice.
Yeah.
Right next to our clothesline, so they make our drying clothes smell like roses. It's pretty nice. So that is it for our garden tour. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, so you can see as our garden progresses throughout the rest of the spring and on into the summer and fall. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.